In this video, I'm going to talk about the scary truth about what it's like working under toxic managers, what I had to fight through just to survive, and how to make sure that this doesn't happen to you as well. Let's start the video. This story begins with me leaving my dream job in 2020. I made a video about quitting my dream job, and honestly, looking back, it was kind of stupid for me to do that. And I'm gonna tell you why. This job doubled my salary. All I had to do for my full-time job at this company as a developer relations engineer was to literally only stream 5 times a week, make it a goal to grow my Twitter account, grow my YouTube channel, and on top of that, write a couple blog posts every single month, which I think was amazing, right? This company doubled my salary, and I really couldn't believe it was actually a job. I remember when I received a job offer for this company, paying me X amount of dollars, falling on my knees, bawling, couldn't believe a company was willing to pay me this much money, and I left. I don't know why I left. No, I do know why I left, but I ended up leaving that company anyway. A lot of people have actually asked me, like, why did I leave that company in the first place, right? Like, why would you leave that dream job that you loved so much? I had an amazing manager, that's very true. I had amazing colleagues, but just because it started off as a dream job, it was so fun. I loved it there for a couple months, for the first 6-7 months, but good things don't last forever, unfortunately, and I ended up not being as happy, and the job ended up being not what I thought it was. So I started looking for a new job. Just because a job is a dream job doesn't mean that that job will be perfect. And that's something that I've realized. Now, I'm very thankful because they paid me an insane amount of money. I learned a lot about what DevRel is and what DevRel isn't. But at the end of the day, no matter how much money someone pays you, money isn't everything. And I'm gonna tell you that is very true about this next job I joined after leaving that company. So I'm looking for a new job. So I'm going through LinkedIn. I find this job that says that my job description will be primarily focusing on video content, which is what I've been doing for years in the first place anyway. So I went ahead and I applied, and I started the interview process. I messaged the hiring manager on Twitter directly, just asking questions about the job, if the job's still available. Throughout the interview process and throughout the back and forth messages, the hiring manager was kind of too nice. Have you ever been on teamblind.com, and they talk about how whenever someone tries to act like that company is a family, that alone within itself is a red flag. But I didn't see that. I thought, okay, this is DevRel. Everyone's so cool with each other. Everyone's chill with each other. This is DevRel. Everyone in DevRel is really cool. Unfortunately, that within itself is not true. When someone tries to introduce a job to you and makes it seem like everyone there is like a family, or they try to be too buddy-buddy with you, unless it's like a friend you knew before interviewing, that alone should be a red flag. Why? When you interview a job, when you're trying to join a company, you're not joining a company to be friends with people. It's all business. No company is a family. And if anyone tries to sell that to you, that is something you need to keep an eye out for immediately. So anyway, we go through the interview process. I interview with the hiring manager. He likes me a lot. Interview with the CTO, interview with the CEO, and then last but not least, interview with the COO, who eventually gave me the job offer. Now, when I received the job offer, it was pretty amazing. Okay, the presentation on how much money I would eventually make, etc., this and that, and then eventually seeing my salary, I was kind of blown away because my salary at my last job, New Relic, my base salary was $160,000 a year. This new job, the base salary would be $180K a year. First of all, $20,000 when in tech, and from $160K to $180K, it's nice, but it's not that much of a difference. Okay, it's not worth happiness. If you're really happy at your current job and you move to a new job and it only pays $20,000 more, do your research. And if you don't have a good gut feeling about that company or that hiring manager, it's not worth for $20,000 extra dollars, right? Anyway, so we're going through the offer, and they show me everything. It looks amazing. The stock options, they gave me insane amount of stock options. I see the expiration date of this offer is supposed to expire the following day. This was a Thursday. They gave me the offer on a Thursday, and they said that this offer will no longer be valid on a Friday the next day, less than 24 hours later. Now that was red flag number 2. I should have seen that. But I didn't. Whenever a company only gives you 24 hours to accept a job, yes, be a red flag to you, because what if you have a family to take care of? What if you're like me and I support my parents, or I have 2 dogs to take care of, or etc., you name it, right? Making a decision to leave your current job, which, by the way, I was working at a pretty large company, for a startup, that's a risky move. And they know that, but they try to pressure you to accept that job more quickly, even though it might not make sense for you, which isn't a good thing. Being pressured to accept a job as quickly as possible without giving you time to think, that should have been like, all right, nope, I'm not interviewing anymore. And I think it's just because New Relic gave me my first big salary, and this next job now giving me an even larger salary with even more stock options. And I was just overwhelmed with the numbers. I felt excited knowing that another company wants me. I felt valuable. I ended up taking the job. And it was so hard for me to take this job because the following Monday, or was it the following Tuesday, I went back to my manager, amazing manager. He's no longer manager there, but told him, hey, I want to give you my notice. I'm leaving the company. And that was so difficult because I promised him I would stay here for 2 years. But even he understands it because the team started changing and the way things were being run was kind of changing. The job description was no longer the same job description we previously had. But anyway, let's keep going in the story. Now, right after giving my 2 weeks notice to my manager, I immediately regretted it. We went on a team trip to, was it Portland? Went crabbing, and that was really fun with the team. Rented a limo, which is amazing. And I wanted to say, hey, can I just not give my 2 weeks notice anymore, etc. But the reason I regretted it was because the moment I gave my notice to that company, the new job, the new company, I saw more red flags. For example, the hiring manager I ended up working under, he started giving me work to do before I was even paid to do work, meaning I was doing work for free. I understand that this person wants to get things done quickly, but having me do work ahead of time is unacceptable. And after seeing all these things, I should have just not gone. I should have just went back to my manager and be like, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. I don't want to go anywhere. But I kept thinking he already gave my resignation letter to the company. I'm stuck. And that's one thing I never want to feel. I never want to feel stuck, but I absolutely was. Now, fast forwarding to my first week on the job. Oh my gosh, it gets worse. My first week on the job, during our team meeting, looking at all the work that I need to do, because DevRel, you do a lot of work, and burnout is very normal in DevRel. The average person lasts only 2 years as a developer advocate, and they move back and they go back to being a software engineer. I brought that up during a meeting with all the other colleagues that I have, and him, the hiring manager. And I brought up how, when I was at my last company, because we travel so much, we create so much content, burnout's so real, they actually let me take vacation off every quarter. They let me take a few days off every quarter. And what the manager told me in front of everyone, these are his pretty much close to his exact words, which was, he looked at me, he laughed, and he said, I will never let you do that. I will never let you do that. And I just stayed quiet. And in my head, I'm like, oh no, what did I just do? Right? Like, what did I just do? Like, I just joined this company. I'm stuck here, and now I know that I'm gonna be worked to death because this person doesn't want it. It seems like he wouldn't let me take my time off, which is really terrifying, to be honest. Then a couple of days later, and this is just within the first, 1 to 2 weeks, a couple of days later, after I do a little bit of my onboarding in that first week, done with onboarding week number 1, week number 2 begins. He tells me to post my stand-up at 9 a.m. I'm like, all right, cool. The thing is, during the interview process, just talking to him, talking about my work schedule, that I want to start at 10 a.m. And so, of course, I will start at 10 a.m. I post my update at 10 a.m., my stand-up at 10 a.m. It's already 11 a.m. in the morning. And he posts in chat, Chris, why did you post your stand-up, your updates at 10 a.m. when you need to update at 9 a.m. sharp? And I'm like, I already got offended because we agreed I'm going to start at 10 a.m. Why would I post an update at 9 a.m.? Why would I wake up earlier just to post an update for you when I'm supposed to start at 10 a.m.? There's no difference if I post an update an hour later. Now, that's not a big deal though, to be honest. That's not big of a deal. But the big deal to me was the fact that he did this publicly in front of everyone, in front of the entire team. He could have just messaged me behind the scenes and said, hey, Chris, I understand you start at 10 a.m., but can you just maybe prepare your stand-up ahead of time and just post that at 9 a.m. or something like that? I would have appreciated that, to be honest. But for him to do that publicly, again, that was another red flag that, okay, this person might be a micromanager and this person might just be too direct for me. That's not how I roll. I mean, I like it when people are direct, but to the point where it's disrespectful and it's just exposing you in front of everyone rather than just trying to help you learn first right off the bat and not make the mistake again. For me, that was horrible. And it gets more worse than this, all right? Now, later in that week, or maybe it was the following week, in my mind, I kept thinking, okay, I feel like I'm just gonna be overworked like crazy. I feel like I'm gonna receive unrealistic expectations. During another meeting with everyone, anyway, I don't remember if it was one-on-one in front of everyone, but what I do remember the conversation where I talked about how, okay, I'm just curious, when I take vacation off, when Christmas is coming up, I'm gonna go to the Philippines and etc., spend time with my fiance. So I asked, so what's gonna happen when I'm on vacation? No one's gonna post content, etc. And then what he talked about was how I need to make sure that prior to taking my 2 weeks off, if not longer, I need to make sure I work more hours prior to that to make sure that I have content ready to publish when I'm on vacation. For me, that was just crossing the line like crazy. What is the point of PTO where when I take 2 weeks off, that's 80 hours I don't have to work because that's my paid time off, right? Unlimited PTO. But that's 80 hours I'm not supposed to work, but then I'm expected to work 80 additional hours on top of my normal hours before my vacation. That's too much, and it's so sad. I'm not gonna say the person's name. No one even knows what company I was working at. This person has a lot of followers and a lot of people in DevRel know who this person is. And I knew who this person was, but I never expected that person to be this way, where they really, really over overwork you to the death, because this was the kind of person where they really only think about their numbers and how they look, which is understandable. Everyone wants to look good to the higher ups, right? But at the detriment of the mental health of the people who work under you. That's unacceptable, right? I understand there are things that happen behind the scenes that he has to do, but if it gets to the point where you'll overwork the employees that work under you to the point that it destroys their mental health, that's a problem. Now, every conversation that I would have with this person, the two words that would come out of his mouth all the time was, I expect. I expect. I expect, to the point I called him out on it. And I would say, why do you always say the words, I expect, I expect? Do you understand how condescending that could possibly make someone feel? Or the anxiety that can actually give someone, where I expect you to do this. I expect you to work this many hours. To the point where he even said this line, and I kid you not, okay? He said this: we need to make your $200,000 salary worth it. We need to make your $200,000 salary worth it. Meaning that because we're paying you around $200,000 a year, we need to make sure we work you to death. I mean, how else am I supposed to receive those words when I hear, we need to make your $200K salary worth it? Additional red flags. When I think of this, right? When I think of what I went through, and it may not seem like a lot to you guys, but that was a lot to me, because I'm really thinking about the emotions that I was going through at that time. The feeling of, I don't even want to wake up the next day, where I don't even want to go to sleep. I would literally, and you could talk to my fiance, go ahead and ask her, right? But I would force myself to stay up till 3 a.m., 4 a.m. because I didn't want to sleep. I didn't want to wake up the next day, because if I woke up the next day, that means I have to see my manager again. The moment I sleep, it'll feel like only a couple seconds later that I wake up and I have to encounter that manager again, encounter that unrealistic expectations again. And when I say unrealistic expectations, this is what this person wanted me to do. So I make YouTube videos for a living. I know how much effort it takes to put in just one video, but this is what he wanted me to do. He wanted me to create 2 technical videos every single week, on top of 1 hour long video as well. So that's 3 videos a week, 2 10-minute videos, around 10-minute videos, plus a third video, which is a 1 hour technical video. And I'm like, okay, first of all, one 10-minute video alone already takes 2 days, minimum, if not 3, including good thumbnails, right? It would take 5 days to make 2 technical videos. And then he wanted me to make a 1 hour tutorial on top of that every single week, because longer videos get better views. Nope, that's not true at all. So he wanted me to make 4 1 hour long videos plus 8 10-minute long videos every single month. Talk about burnout. This is 1 month in already, or probably a month and a half in already. I'm already speaking to myself, I'm gonna start interviewing for new jobs. And then we had a conversation where we talked about how he needs to hire more people. And if he didn't have to do all this management work, he said, you know, I could do everything that you guys can do. I just don't have the time to do it. Yeah, he can code. He's an amazing developer. But just because you're an amazing engineer does not mean you're an amazing manager. And I wish more companies understood that. For someone to say, I can do everything you guys can do, I just don't have the time to do it. In Devrel, I think that's very disrespectful. Number one, not just anyone could do YouTube. YouTube is a skill. It is a skill. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of effort, a lot of failure, a lot of practice. Anyone can make a technical video. Anyone can make a talking head how to do video in tech, but not just anyone can deliver it well. Does that make sense? Anyway, my anxiety pretty much got so bad to the point that I couldn't work no more. I was interviewing already. There were no jobs waiting for me. I was so unhappy. So my last week there, I tried to do work and I couldn't, right? I felt like I had brain fog. I couldn't do anything at all. After going through so much of the anxiety, stress, my mental health going down the drain, I just gave a 1-day notice. I emailed this person, didn't even message them on Slack, and I was like, here's my 1-day notice, I'm gone. I didn't think they deserve a 2-week notice. I just needed to think of my mental health. And even though I had no job waiting for me, I have savings though, I felt free. But it's so sad that even when I gave my notice, this person didn't even respond. Actually, when it came to Twitter, this person ended up blocking me on Twitter as well. So what is the point of this video? What did I learn? I learned that, but when you're interviewing for a new job, it is very important to vet the person that is interviewing you. The company, you vet them as well. If you're interviewing another company, try to find out who this person used to work with, message them on LinkedIn, find out if they're really that cool to work with. I think this is really important when it comes to choosing your next job. This is your career in the line. This is your mental health. Make sure you take care of it. Anyway, that was my experience working under the worst manager I've ever experienced in tech. I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace.